Hi, Jordan Peterson. Hopefully, you watch this. This is a response to your argument against Sam Harris's argument against free will. Um, the whole thing with the um, ballistic setting something in motion through your um, nervous system and all that, it's kind of irrelevant for what Sam is saying about free will. He's just saying that everything we do has a prior reason for what we do, our thoughts, our actions, everything. Um, so, whatever thought occurs to you next is due to your prior experiences in life, your existing knowledge from those experiences and wherever else you've gained knowledge from. You're, he uses the example of picking a country somewhere in the world. He says just pick a random country or a random capital from America or wherever. And so you're limited to whatever your knowledge is of those things, but you're also limited to whatever occurs to you, whichever ones pop into your head. Even if you know every single capital in America, you're not gonna, within that time, you're not, he gives like a 10 seconds or something like that to think of one. Within that time, you're not going to think of every single country or capital or whatever. Just a couple, maybe a handful, are going to pop up in your mind. So, what I say to people is we are limited to whatever occurs to us. Like, it occurred to me to buy a certain product last night. I remembered. So I'm at the mercy of my memory. Just like we've all forgotten somebody's name, and probably that person didn't like the fact that we forgot their name, but we couldn't help, we didn't forget it on purpose. We are at the mercy of our memories. Now imagine you can't remember somebody's name in passing, and that person uh, may have something to do with your future uh, that will impact you in a very positive way, but because you forgot their name, they hold that against you, and now your trajectory in life goes in whichever other direction it goes. So, so it's determined by uh, these things that you can't help. And these words that I'm speaking right now, they're just the words that are occurring to me to speak. And it's just like that. Free will. Uh, One of my favorite philosophers, Tom W. Clark of naturalism.org, he says contra-causal free will. He says we don't have that. He suggests not to go around telling people we don't have free will, because that he suggests that is demoralizing. It's not good for the world to tell everyone we don't have free will. It's better to explain. I sometimes avoid bringing up the word free will or determinism because I like to just explain why we don't have those things, rather because everyone has a different definition of it, and you're kind of focused on your idea of free will, but you're not really uh, negating Sam Harris's argument. So I can say to people, you don't, like I said, you're at the mercy of your memory, and you can only do what occurs to you and stuff like that. And we don't know the outcomes of our actions. And people understand these things. And so I can say these things, and then I can say that's why I also say everything comes down to luck. Because we don't decide what thought is going to occur to us next. because to decide which thought you're going to have next requires you to have thought that thought before you had the thought. And that just doesn't make any sense. And people will say, well, a thought arises and then you decide what to do with that thought. You decide to react or not. That's true, but that reaction is also based on prior experiences. If I have the thought to, I'm running down the road, that's what I just got done doing, that's why I'm dressed this way. I apologize, I guess. So if I go and I decide to kick somebody's flower pot that's in their yard, it's, I didn't have to do that, but it didn't occur to me due to not having prior experiences of the consequences of doing that thing, or for some other reason. Like I could have had the experiences in life that told me that that's totally fine to do. I didn't get to the point where I have learned the empathy and whatever else, and so, or I'm being controlled by hormones and whatever, or I haven't been disciplined yet, whatever it might be. It's not really a big deal that we don't have causal free will. I like the sound of that. It's not really a big deal that we don't have causal free will. People overthink it like it's some kind of like it's gonna ruin their lives. Like I have a job where I must. It's hard work. What I do, I work in a restaurant, and it's very busy. And I don't sit there and like, oh, I'm not doing nothing because I don't have free will. And I just went and jogged and I work out and so on. But it's I don't throw my hands up in the air. But it is relevant for how we treat one another and stuff like that. Like if somebody gets on my case about why didn't you do this, and I just say it didn't occur to me to do that, and they usually understand whenever I say it didn't occur to me or I forgot. People typically understand because for them to say why didn't it occur to you, they realize that would be a stupid question, and you have to be really out of touch to ask why didn't that occur to you. You're not in touch with the human experience if you ask such a question. So yeah, it's not really a big deal. I don't think. I don't understand why. It allows you to have more compassion for yourself. So you don't beat yourself up all the time for forgetting things and not coming up with great ideas like some billionaire might have came up with some big idea. But it also puts your situation in life into perspective because you don't know what decisions are how things are going to turn out. Like if I decide to take one job, will that lead to ruin, or will and there's many other factors in our lives that control our abilities, what we can do with ourselves and stuff. We have to know our limitations because if you like Icarus, if you fly too close to the sun, it could destroy you. So sometimes you just have to find a happy medium or whatever. So I feel like that's all I want to say about that. Because I notice, no offense, but you keep, it's almost like you're straw manning Sam Harris, but I don't think that's intentional or anything, obviously not. But yeah, you're not really seeing what he's saying. And I would also suggest looking up Tom W. Clark on naturalism.org and reading, as many of his essays as you can in his philosophy section, especially free will and other his thoughts on death and stuff are interesting too. Thoughts on free will and mostly that's a bit in consciousness are his focuses. And he talks a lot about the legal implications and things like that. Now, I personally think that we have to have something to deter crime. It has to be somewhat harsh enough to keep people from doing certain things, kind of like just like we have to, people have the electric collars for dogs. I'm not suggesting that we do that for people, but that's just an example of like the dog gets a little buzz and the dog doesn't like that when it goes so far out of the yard. So, consequences that people wouldn't like. I personally wouldn't like to be kept out of civilization and have my freedoms limited. I can't go to the park when I like and things like that, and I can't go to a movie or I can't go out to eat and so on and so forth. So, but at the same time, we have to distinguish between what's mental illness, what's being caused by some other health issue. Someone might have something going on in their brain, things like that. So there's just all kinds of things we need to consider as far as this is concerned. Thanks for watching.